Thanks, Sophie. Welcome, everyone. This is Audra Agajanian with the Cadmus Group. And our presentation today is going to be focusing on the portfolio manager tool developed by EPA for its Energy Star program. Energy Star is a voluntary partnership program offered by EPA, and there's no cost to join Energy Star or to use the portfolio manager tool. So becoming an Energy Star partner has many benefits, and it is a proven program based on the experiences of all of the partner organizations. Energy Star is a trusted brand that is recognized by most consumers, and the Energy Star brand adds legitimacy to organizations that are aligned with it. And the Energy Star framework and associated promotional materials can help you communicate your energy management plans and progress and secure support from your employees, management, and customers. The agenda for today's webinar has three main topics. We'll first spend about 10 minutes reviewing the background material. And then we'll spend some time doing a live demonstration on how to customize Portfolio Manager for drinking water and wastewater plants. And then we'll have about 10 minutes for questions and answers. So just so you know, please place any questions you have in the chat at any time during the webinar, and we'll get to those at the end if we can, as many as we can. So first, I wanted to provide some background information on the potential energy and cost savings for water and wastewater treatment facilities. So energy use in water and wastewater services accounts for 1.8% of national energy consumption, with 1% of that being drinking water and 0.8% of that being wastewater. Water and wastewater services also produce 45 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions per year and are the largest energy consumers of municipal governments. Energy use is expected to increase by 20% in the next 15 years. And some of that increase is because of advanced treatment technologies, such as membrane filtration, and can be energy intensive. Also, if you need to add a new treatment process to an existing facility, you may need to add a pumping step between processes, and that would also increase your energy usage. The term clean energy refers to energy sources that do not pollute the atmosphere when used, as opposed to oil and coal, which do pollute the atmosphere. There are many clean energy opportunities at water and wastewater facilities. An energy management program can have three different elements: energy efficiency, energy recovery, and energy generation. These terms are used frequently and are often misunderstood, so I wanted to first explain what they mean in our context. So energy efficiency refers to reducing the energy requirements while achieving the required energy output. In other words, using energy in an optimized manner. When you undertake a project to replace aging infrastructure, you can select new components that are more efficient than the older models, or you could choose to replace existing equipment before it reaches the end of its service life in order to install premium efficiency motors, better sensors for dissolved oxygen, or new controls to help you reduce energy usage. For example, a variable frequency drive can be installed to vary the frequency and voltage supplied to the electric motor so that you can optimize your operating practices and reduce electrical usage. Energy recovery at wastewater facilities typically refers to recovering heat from the wastewater effluent or capturing methane gas and reusing it. On-site clean power generation typically refers to solar or wind energy generation systems that are installed at your water or wastewater facility. Net zero energy is a term for facilities that produce as much power as they consume over the course of a year. So one example of net zero energy wastewater facility is the wastewater treatment plant in Gresham, Oregon. They reduced monthly energy bills from $50,000 to zero over the course of 10 years, from 2005 to 2015. First, they installed a biogas generator in 2005, and then solar panels in 2010. In 2012, they started accepting restaurant waste with high levels of fats, oils, and grease, and this doubled the production of their biogas. The utility manager said their approach could be easily replicated by other systems and was no secret formula. So our next slide is the Energy Star program provides multiple pathways for you to either engage in energy efficiency efforts for the first time or improve your existing energy management program. You may want to use Energy Star materials to improve how you communicate with customers or to better track your progress in meeting internal goals. To get the Energy Star website, you can use this link or just type in energystar.com. Gov. type in energystar.gov. But these slides will be sent to you after the webinar, so you can use the links within them. This slide illustrates how the recommended approach to energy management is an iterative approach. The first step is to get senior management in your utility to make a commitment to the program. You cannot successfully implement an energy management program without management support for staffing and resources. Your next step is where the Portfolio Manager tool comes into play to establish a baseline of energy usage for your current operations through a process called benchmarking. In this step, you will also identify your goals for energy efficiency, reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, or energy cost savings. Then, after you have identified your goals, you need to develop an action plan which outlines the approach to meet each goal. After you implement the action plan and start meeting your goals, remember to take the time to recognize staff that have been instrumental in achieving these goals. And after your initial action plan has been put into place, it's time to reassess your goals and perhaps develop new goals and start the process again. Again, the benchmarking step to assess performance and set goals is where the Portfolio Manager tool comes into play. The Portfolio Manager tool is an energy benchmarking tool, and benchmarking involves monitoring or measuring various parameters to establish your current conditions. For an energy management program, the monitoring parameter or metric may be your current electrical usage or the dollar amount of your electric bill. By establishing the current condition, you can then compare or benchmark your improvements in energy management by continuing to monitor electrical usage or the dollar amount of your electric bill or any other metric. Many studies have shown that benchmarking and tracking energy usage metrics are an important part of your energy management plan. The two examples shown on this slide illustrate this point based on an EPA analysis of more than 30,000 buildings that tracked energy consumption in Portfolio Manager from 2008 to 2011. The graph on top shows a decrease in energy use from 2008 to 2011, and the graph on bottom shows a 6-point increase in Energy Star Performance Score generated by Portfolio Manager for the same time period. These two graphs can be used to communicate with your customers or your governing board to gain support for new capital improvement projects designed to further reduce energy cost. Also, when your staff see how their hard work and ideas translated to cost savings, they will feel empowered and committed to future improvement efforts. The Portfolio Manager tool can be used to track energy and water usage over time. Plus, it can help you manage and track various waste streams and cost information. Similar to any other tool where you need to input data, the tool is only as valuable as the quality of your data. It is important to take the time and necessary steps to ensure you are using accurate and reliable data. This slide states that Portfolio Manager can be used to apply for Energy Star certification. But please note that this certification is only available for buildings and not for water and wastewater treatment plants. You may be wondering why wastewater treatment plants are not eligible for certification. When EPA analyzed the survey data that they are currently using for the regression model to develop the performance scores, EPA felt that additional drivers of energy use may not have been captured fully by the data. So EPA has determined that the model as is a very important first step for the industry, providing a fixed metric that can help you assess performance over time while normalizing for key changes in weather and operational conditions like influent and effluent BOD changes. Portfolio Manager offers users hundreds of different metrics, so you can select metrics that are most meaningful to your facilities and your goals. For example, in the category of greenhouse gas emissions, there are several metrics available, including direct and indirect emissions, total emissions, and avoided emissions. Amelia, or Mimi Smith, will be showing you a brief overview later in this presentation, how to use custom reports to summarize trends with various metrics that might be most useful to water and wastewater treatment operators and managers. For wastewater facilities, an energy performance scoring system is available in Portfolio Manager. After you enter data into the tool, such as energy use and flow and basic data about your facility, you will get a performance score between 1 and 100. The scoring system for wastewater plants is based on national survey data collected under the Water Research Foundation project. Survey data were collected from a statistically representative sample of wastewater treatment plants of various sizes, types, and locations across the country. The survey data included information on flow volumes, treatment processes, influent and effluent quality using biochemical oxygen demand, as well as monthly energy use and cost data. After receiving the survey back from wastewater utilities, the project team developed a regression model to predict energy use based on flow rate. The ratio of your specific energy use per flow rate to the predicted energy use per flow rate from the regression model gives you the performance score. This approach is similar to the approach used to develop the Energy Star performance scoring system for buildings. So the performance score is on a scale from 1 to 100. If your plant achieves an energy performance score of 50, it performs better than 50% of all similar wastewater facilities nationwide. If you achieve an energy performance score of 75, your plant is performing better than 75% of all similar wastewater facilities nationwide. EPA considered developing a performance score for drinking water systems, but there were too many variables in the original survey data, particularly related to drinking water distribution systems. Instead, users can compare their energy use per average daily flow to a national median value. There are many ways that you can assess energy performance using Portfolio Manager. Here is a list of some of the common performance metrics that are available in the tool. An important one is EUI, or energy use intensity. For water and wastewater treatment plants, that is the energy used per unit of flow treated. Some programs measure energy use per pound of BOD removed. That's another common one, but when the survey was done to set up the score, researchers found that energy use correlated more with flow in their data. This and the next slide mention a couple of other performance metrics. You will receive a copy of the slides at the end of the presentation today, so I'm not going to read each one of the performance metrics. So there they are for you. Portfolio Manager data gathered from 2008 through 2013 from 698 wastewater treatment plants, benchmarking trends in energy and water consumption, showed a median energy use intensity, or EUI, of 10 kBTUs per gallon per day. The data ranged from less than 5 EUIs to over 50 EUIs. The trend showed that energy consumption is correlated with magnitude and type of pollutant load, and that the treatment methods and technology used. For example, plants that have more influent BOD use more energy on average. Also, plants that use nutrient removal have, on average, a higher energy use intensity, or EUI. More information from that data can be found if you follow the link on this slide. And a reminder, the slides will be sent to you after the webinar. Portfolio Manager has several reporting templates to help you with energy tracking at water and wastewater facilities. You can select a template based on who your audience would be for the report. The summary report for plant managers and mayors gives an overview of energy use, costs, and greenhouse gas emissions and progress towards your goals. The standard report provides detail on energy use intensity by fuel type, electricity, natural gas, or fuel oil, and national average values to help operators identify energy efficiency opportunities. The evaluation report includes facility data and information about energy projects to help states and associations evaluate energy use at multiple plants, identify opportunities for improvement, and recognize achievements. So now we're ready to move on to the live demonstration of customizing Portfolio Manager for the treatment plant metrics. And I'm going to hand my screen over to Mimi Smith with ICF to walk you through that demonstration. Let me hand it over to you, Mimi.
Thank you, Audra. Hello, everyone. Okay, perfect. I have control now. That's great. Okay, so my first two slides here are just replicative of what Audra had just gone through with the metrics, and just a few disclaimers here. So this demo will be an abridged version, and it assumes that you've already set up an account in Portfolio Manager and have already set up a few properties, or at least, the one property that you're working in. So if you'd like to go through this with me today and have your screen up as well, definitely log in and get that pulled up. So I'm going to begin sharing, and we're going to start on, we're going to start from the Energy Star benchmarking page just to show you how to access the tool, but then we'll get started from there. Okay, so from here, perfect. Alrighty, and then could someone just confirm that we have my screen up and everything looks good?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. So this is our energystar.gov/buildings/benchmark page, and this is where you can easily access the Portfolio Manager tool. So you will see over in the right-hand side of your screen, I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. Let me move that out of the way. You'll see this box over to the right. So this is a great place to start to access the account. Again, this training today does assume you have an account. If you do not, you can create account from here, and it'll bring you to the easy steps to set up your account from there. But for all of you with the account today, what you will do is input your username and password and log in from here. Now, once you log in, you'll be brought to your My Portfolio page where all of your existing properties will be in your dashboard, as you can see here on my screen. Now, the first thing we're going to touch on today is creating metric views to be able to see the metrics that you currently see on my screen, which provide water and wastewater metrics that Audra had mentioned earlier, instead of the standard energy metrics that Portfolio Manager will automatically show when you first set up your properties. Another thing I like to call your attention to here in the dashboard is you can create groups here. Now, most of you might not need this, so I'm not going to go into detail here, but if you do have other properties, you can set up groups to be able to condense the view. And like I just did there, well, it's much easier on the eyes to be able to see maybe the one or two properties you want to be working with. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is add a view. So we will click on this blue button here and go through those steps. So that you'll be brought to this page where it'll be manage views, and you'll be able to see all the views that are within your dashboard already. And over here in the top right hand corner is the button to create new view. So we'll click on that. Okay, and then from here you will create a name for your view. You will create a time frame. So for the time frame, you can select the drop down arrow, and there's a couple options here. There's the current energy year, there's the baseline energy year. You can also go by current water or baseline water, and then you can also do current waste or baseline waste year as well. So depending on what you want to show or what years might have the most interesting data or the data that you have input into your property, you can select that year. For today, we're just going to go with our current energy year. I will also point out over on the right-hand side of the screen, Portfolio Manager has these really helpful tips and tricks indicated by the orange chat bubbles. So if you ever have any questions, definitely read those over here. They'll usually provide you with some helpful tips if you get stuck at any point. And then the third step here will be to select the information and metrics. As you'll see, there is only a max of 3. So that's why you can create multiple views so that you can see multiple metrics by just switching the views if you'd like. So we'll click into this. And as you'll see on the left-hand side, there's all sorts of different metrics and information you can display. I'm going to scroll down and select energy performance metrics. And then from here, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, which is where you will see the water and wastewater metrics that you can add. Now, there's definitely a good amount here. Again, you can only choose 3, so I'm going to go for site EUI, source EUI, and then I'm also going to choose the national median source EUI as well. I'll call your attention to a few others. The weather normalized site and source EUI, those are great as well. We also have electricity and natural gas intensity. So those are interesting metrics to include. But again, this is all up to you and what makes the most sense to display for your properties. And once you have selected those, you can go down to the bottom here and click Apply Selection. Once we've done that, we will click Save View. And once you get this green banner at the top of your screen, you will know you've done something successful, and it will tell you exactly what you've done. It will also give you some helpful tips if you'd like to make this view the default view. So every time you open up your My Portfolio dashboard, those will be the metrics that are displayed, and that can be pretty helpful. So I'm going to actually select that there, the one we just made, wastewater treatment plants, water and wastewater treatment plants 3. And then I'm going to go down and select Save Default View. Now, once we are back in our My Portfolio, I'm going to just click back to my treatment plant, and you'll see we have our new metrics included here. So this can be a really helpful thing, and what we'll actually do is refresh these here. It will say it'll take a minute. However, if there's only one yeah, so that was pretty quick. If you only have one property, then the refreshing of the metrics won't take very long. If you do have multiple metrics, it can take a minute. So that's another reason why the grouping can be helpful if it's necessary for you. But yeah, this is a really good way to set up the views in the beginning so that you can see those metrics that are applicable to treatment plants. Okay, now at this point, we are going to step into the property itself, and we'll be brought to our property level tabbed structure. So I'm going to scroll just a bit here, and we're going to touch on both the metrics displayed in this top right corner and then the metrics displayed in this metrics summary table right here. So the first thing we will do, I'm going to scroll up, and you'll note that over here, what's currently displayed is our water, wastewater source EUI. And this can be changed depending on what you'd like to display. So we'll select Change Metric. Now from here, there are not as many options as the last metrics options, but from here you can select what you would like to. So for water and wastewater, there's only site and source EUI, but you can also show, depending on what you have benchmarked for your property, you can also show your total GHG emissions. You can also show total water or total waste, total water and waste cost, energy cost. All of these things are very helpful. And depending on what you would like highlighted at the top of your property, you can select that there. So I'm going to change mine to Site EUI and then scroll down and click this Select Metric button. And that'll change right there and update for us. And I'll also zoom in a little bit here just to show you that it also does give us some statistics, or rather, yeah, some statistics on comparisons to the median. So that's pretty helpful as well. And it's nice to track how your property is doing compared to the overall grouping of similar treatment plants. Back out here. Okay, and so the next thing that we can update, give me one moment, I'm so sorry, 1 second here. Okay, sorry about that. I just had a few dogs barking. So from here, we will update this metric summary table right here. So we will click into the Change Metrics button. And the first panel that you will see here are the selected metrics that you will see in the table itself. But then the left-hand side should look familiar with what we saw earlier from the views metrics that we can update. And we can scroll down here to show you those different options there. Now here you can select 7, and you'll see 7 are currently selected. I'm going to deselect them to change up what we can show here. So I'm just going to deselect, and we'll keep Energy Star score, but I'll select 6 new ones. So I'm going to click into Energy Performance Metrics, and then from here scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see there's several water and wastewater options for you to choose from. So I'm going to choose, let's do the weather normalized electricity intensity, natural gas intensity. Let's also do national median source EUI. And then I also want to call your attention, I'm going to scroll up here to the greenhouse gas emissions option. You can select here, scroll down to the bottom, and you'll see that there are 4 water and wastewater options. So you can choose total GHG emissions, direct or indirect, as well as biomass. Now, to note here, Portfolio Manager doesn't take into account direct emissions from treatment processes such as methane or nitrous oxide emissions. And so direct in this case does mean energy used at the site. So similar to our site and source energy use intensities, that's what this is defined as in the tool. Another note is that for facilities that use mostly electricity purchased from the grid, your GHG emissions will be based on greenhouse gas emissions factor based on your location and specifically your e-grid subregion. So making note of that as well. Let's choose, how many do we have left? 3. Okay, let's go with total, direct, and indirect. That's perfect. Okay. And then once we are done, we can click right here, the view selection, just so we see our total 7 metrics that we will be displaying. And we can click apply selection. Awesome. Okay, there we go. So now we have these metrics displayed for us here. Now you'll notice for the GHG emissions, we don't have any for our test plant today, but hopefully your buildings will have some good numbers here. And that will usually show you the baseline to the current year, and then it'll always show you the percent change. Now I will call your attention if you do have any questions, you can hover over these blue icons and it will give you a brief definition here. So if you do have any questions about anything within the tool itself, that will give you a brief definition there. You can also edit within this table the time periods. So I'm just going to click into that to show you what that's like. So for here, you'll be able to choose the period 1 and period 2. And you can either compare years to the baseline, or you can compare current years to other years, water years to waste years. You can really compare whatever you'd like, or just have 2 completely different columns that aren't comparisons, but just displaying different information. I'm going to leave them as is for today, but just to show you that that is an option. I'm going to click save here. Okay, now I believe, scroll down here. I believe that is it for this page. So the next thing I do want to show is when Audra showed in your the slide deck, there are some reports available. So to be able to access those reports, you can click on the links that are in the slide decks that will be sent to you. And once I'm done screen sharing, I will also send those in the chat for everyone to be able to take a look at what those are. But I will also show you how to access them through the tool. So through this tool, you can click on the reporting tab. And there's a whole host of charts and graphs that are featured here that you'll be able to play around with as you wish. But I have the link pulled up for the summary report, so I'm going to click into that to show you. Pardon the scrolling. Okay, so here we are, and this is the first report that is shown in the slide deck. It is the water and wastewater summary report. So if you click directly on that link, you'll be brought to a page that looks exactly like this, and it'll give you this green box again, which will be very helpful for providing instruction on a few things you could do. So it's telling us to begin using the template, we'll need to edit it to include the properties from the account that we would like to see on the spreadsheet. And then once we have done that, we can generate the spreadsheet to pull the information. And then that is also downloadable in an Excel file or an XML file as well. So with that, why don't we begin? I'm going to click here, edit this template. And it's going to bring me to this page to edit the reporting template. Now from here, we can create a name for a template. You can leave it as is, that's totally fine. If you end up creating multiple templates, then maybe you want to change up the name, but for today, we will leave it. And then we will select the time frame. This will be similar to the other metrics we select time frame for. So it's current year to baseline year. You can also do current year versus baseline year. You can compare 2 years, show a single year, or show a date range. I'm going to keep it for today. Let's select the baseline year. And then you can select what you'd like to show. For today, I'm going to keep it with energy. It will give you a note here that each property must have 12 full months of data for the metrics to be calculated. And if they cannot be calculated, a not accessible will be displayed in the report. So if you do want helpful information, you'll want to make sure that all of that has been input into the property you choose. Which leads us into our next step, which is to select the property here. I'm going to search for our wastewater treatment plant and apply. And then from here, I will save the template. Alrighty, on trend with our green banner here, we know that this has been successful and it will give us some other options of things we can do. So now we can generate the report, we can request data from others using the same report, or you can simply share the template with others as well. So I'm going to generate the report from here. It'll tell us the report is being generated. Scroll down, click into My Reports and Templates, and then it'll let us know in the status column once it's been generated. So then, scroll a little bit more, the action column, we can click the drop-down menu, and we can view the current report. I'm going to review it first, and then I'll show you can also download it. So this is what your report will look like. Again, if you have multiple properties, you can choose multiple properties, and it will give you all of the information you've included on here, and you can scroll over to see all of that information. Like I mentioned earlier, if something's not included, it will give you a not available, and that's totally fine. And then from here, you can continue to scroll down, and you can download this as an Excel file or as an XML file. You can also generate a new report from this tab as well. I'm going to close this out. And I believe that brings us to the close of our live demo for today. Sorry for the scrolling, I just want to be sure about that. Yeah, just a reminder here. So once the reports are generated, you will click on My Reports and Templates to be able to access those. And there's lots of other options within this reporting tab, so definitely play around with what's available here for you. Okay, I do believe that is it for me. I will stop the screen share there and just make sure that we touched on everything here. Okay, make sure here. Yep, I think that should be good. Okay, so with that, I will pass things back over to Audra, and then I'll also begin sending the links to the reports into the chat if folks would like to test those out and just see what those will look like. But I believe that is it for me today. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Mimi. I'm taking over as presenter. And I did want to remind everybody that we are gathering questions to address in just a moment. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and place those in the chat. I did want to show you that this slide and the upcoming slides are some topics that Mimi touched on in her presentation, or screenshots of her actual what she clicked on and things like that. That way you have them in hand, and you can reference those as you need once you get the slide deck. So, okay, since we've already, let's see, I've skipped through those, and then I have some examples of data that I want to show you that we have, and then we'll have our question and answer session. So one note, we are always looking for case studies of treatment facilities. So if you believe you have some information about a good portfolio manager case study or a system that uses portfolio manager that might have a good case study, just let us know. You can contact any of us. On the final slide of the deck, you'll see our contact information. So yeah, please send us info if you think you have a good one. And then this graph shows some data collected by EPA Region 1 through benchmarking. Each yellow bar here represents a different wastewater treatment plant. The average daily flow in million gallons per day for each plant is shown on the x-axis, and the energy use is shown on the y-axis. The data show how wastewater treatment plants with similar daily flows can have very different energy use and cost. So because of that, another benchmarking approach is to just compare your current energy use with your historical data, rather than comparing it with other facilities which may have different treatment processes and energy requirements. I wanted to touch on that. And next, I would like to present a few case studies. one on energy efficiency projects at small wastewater facilities, um, actually two on those, and one on a drinking water facility. So this slide summarizes the first case study for Burlington, Vermont. The wastewater treatment plant has a design flow of 2 million gallons per day, but routinely treats about 1 million gallon per day. The original aeration system was powered by three 75 horsepower multi-stage centrifugal blowers. And in 2009, the city replaced one existing 75 horsepower blower with a 50 horsepower K turbo blower and a new luminescent dissolved oxygen probe for automated control. The project cost was $56,000, and the city received a rebate from the local electric company for $21,000, making the total project cost only $35,000. The new blower has easily met the plant's target DO concentration of 2.5 milligrams per liter with no operational problems, and the chief operator reported that the new blower draws between 30 and 70% less energy than the original blower. So the estimated total energy savings of the new K turbo blower is 250,000 kilowatt hours. This translates to a cost savings of approximately $34,500 per year based on an average electricity rate of 13 cents per kilowatt hour and a simple payback of 1.6 years, or if you consider the incentive they received, a 1-year payback. The second wastewater case study I wanted to show is for the city of Bartlett, Tennessee, which has a 1 million gallon per day wastewater treatment plant on their average daily flow, with a secondary treatment utilizing two mechanically aerated oxidation ditches. Each of the aeration basins is equipped with three rotor aerators. Prior to the improvements, the oxidation ditch operator operated by using one aeration rotor running continuously and a second one during periods of peak flow, each at full speed. Under a demonstration program funded by the Tennessee Valley Authority, the city implemented optical dissolved oxygen sensor technology with VFD speed control of the oxidation ditch rotor aerator. The DO control set point was set at 1.2 milligrams per liter, and the rotor speed was controlled based on the DO readings in the oxidation ditches relative to the set point. During the demo, one rotor in each basin reached full speed for only 20 to 30 minutes each day during the peak flow period, and the second rotor was not required to maintain the DO set point concentration at all. So the new DO sensors and VFD controls were installed and commissioned for $13,500. That's in 2007 dollars. After installation, the first year, energy consumption was reduced by 13% and a peak demand was reduced by 39%. The resulting energy cost savings were $9,176 per year, which for them was a 22% savings. The payback for project costs was 1.5 years. And then I do have a water utility case study in Austin, which Austin has three drinking water treatment plants, but their Ulrich plant is a 167 million gallons per day capacity conventional lime softening plant. And the utility had a practice of tracking energy consumption. So the staff noticed elevated energy use in its raw water pumping despite a recent pump upgrade. So after reviewing the issue with operations staff, um, they determined that the operators had been trying to avoid switching pumps in an effort to save energy spikes associated with pump starts and stops. So instead of doing that, they were throttling the pumps to achieve their desired flow rate. While throttling does avoid a pump change, it is also an inefficient mode to run the pump. So when the pumps were left throttled for extended periods, the benefits of avoiding the pump switch were ultimately offset by the inefficient operation. So in order to improve energy efficiency, they put a new procedure in place that included optimizing the switching of pumps and minimizing the throttling as a flow control mechanism. This one change in pumping operation reduced the energy use by 5,000 megawatt hours per year, an 8% reduction in energy consumption, which correlated to $400,000 in annual energy costs with minimal capital investment. The greenhouse gas emissions were reduced by 2,500 metric tons carbon dioxide equivalent per year. So the utilities tracking of energy consumption at the Ulrich plant for more than a decade helped them find the issue and highlight the elevated consumption rates and led them to the operational change, which led to great savings for them. So that is the end of our presentation. We'll be stopping recording at this time.